Is it possible that the United States and Israel were secretly courting one of their most vocal enemies to lead a post-regime Iran? When you look at the complexities of Middle Eastern policy, you usually expect a calculated approach to removing hostile leadership, but this latest report suggests the reality is far more bizarre and controversial than anyone imagined. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in US politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and ensures you don't miss our deep dives into the stories the mainstream media often misses. According to a bombshell report from the New York Times, intelligence officials in the US and Israel spent significant time evaluating a potential path toward regime change in Tehran that centered on a figure nobody expected: former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Now, if you know anything about recent history, that name should immediately stand out. Ahmadinejad is arguably one of the most prominent, anti-Western, and hardline figures in modern Iranian politics. He spent his presidency routinely clashing with Washington and questioning the legitimacy of Israel, building a legacy defined by his hostility toward the West. Yet, despite this history, reports indicate that U.S. officials, operating with the knowledge and coordination of various intelligence agencies, considered him a viable, albeit surprising, successor in a post-regime scenario. The logic, according to those briefed on the discussions, rested on the idea that Ahmadinejad held a specific type of populist appeal that could potentially stabilize the country during a volatile power vacuum. The thinking was that if the existing regime were to collapse, the internal security forces and the ideological base of Iran would require a leader they already recognized, someone who carried the weight of the revolutionary establishment but who might be willing to pivot if the price was right. This wasn't just a hypothetical water cooler conversation, it was a serious deliberation about how to handle the day after in Tehran. The fact that the US and Israel, nations that have arguably been the primary targets of Ahmadinejad's rhetoric for years, were even contemplating this is a massive indictment of the limited options available on the ground. It exposes a desperate search for order in a region that has been characterized by chaos and unpredictability. But what does this actually mean for our standing on the world stage? If the US was truly willing to entertain the idea of installing an avowed enemy to achieve regime stability, it suggests a profound level of frustration with the current state of our foreign policy. It implies that the traditional pro-democracy or moderate reformist approach has been completely discarded in favor of cold, hard pragmatism. We are looking at a scenario where the enemy of my enemy is no longer the rule. Instead, the enemy I can control has taken its place. The outcome of these deliberations, of course, highlights the volatility of this strategy. Betting on a former president who thrives on anti-American sentiment to suddenly act in the interest of Western security goals is a gamble that could have backfired spectacularly. It invites questions about the transparency of our intelligence operations and whether the American public is being fully informed about the risks being taken in their name. Are we being led down a path of reckless experimentation in the Middle East? Or is this simply the messy reality of modern intelligence work, where you have to play the cards you are dealt, no matter how distasteful they may be? Ultimately, this report forces us to ask, is it ever wise to bet on a known antagonist to fix a geopolitical crisis? History is filled with instances where controlled regime changes resulted in blowback that plagued the West for decades. We have seen this movie before, and it rarely ends with a clean, peaceful transition. The involvement of Israel in these discussions adds another layer of complexity, signaling a deep, ongoing coordination that has arguably pushed the boundaries of traditional diplomacy. So, what do you think about this? Was the US and Israel's plan a stroke of genius or a dangerous miscalculation that could have left us worse off? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one, and I want to hear your perspective on whether we should be dealing with these types of figures at all. As we move forward, the questions regarding these secret plans will only intensify. We are living through an era of extreme geopolitical shifts, and the maneuvers behind the scenes are often far more important than the headlines we see on the surface. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep questioning the narrative. I'm here to make sure you get the full story, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.